Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the profound and, let's be honest, pretty terrifying role of the priest in the orthodox Christian tradition, and we're going to do it by looking at the story of an absolutely brilliant man who loved God so much that when he was called to be a priest, he ran for the hills.
Yeah, you heard that right. A terrifying honor. So let's jump straight into that paradox. In our first section, we're going to explore how something can be the highest possible calling and, at the same time, a source of absolute terror for someone so devout.
So this is the man we're talking about, St. John Chrysostom, one of the real heavy hitters in church history. And to avoid getting ordained, get this, he didn't just hide, he actually deceived his best friend into taking the position instead. This quote tells you exactly why. He was scared, terrified that his own unworthiness would end up hurting the very people Christ died to save.
And that just begs the question for our whole explainer, right? What in the world is the orthodox priesthood that it could inspire that kind of bone-deep fear in a man of such incredible faith? Well, to answer that, we've got to go way, way back.
To really get inside Chrysostom's head and understand that fear, we have to look at the ancient blueprint. We need to trace the priesthood's origins and see how it evolved over thousands of years of sacred history.
You see, the whole idea of a priest being a go-between for God and humanity, it wasn't a static thing. It developed over time. At first, in the patriarchal age, guys like Noah, the head of the family, could offer a sacrifice. Then, with Moses, it gets much more official. It becomes an institutionalized role, given to a specific family line, the family of Aaron. We also get this fascinating, mysterious figure, Melchizedek, a priest-king who kind of prefigures the ultimate reality, Jesus Christ, the one eternal high priest.
Now, what's so interesting here is that the priesthood Christ established isn't just a continuation of the old one. It's the total fulfillment of it. The Old Testament priesthood was hereditary, it was temporary, it was symbolic. It required constant animal sacrifices. But Christ's priesthood, it's eternal, it's non-transferable, and it's based on his single, perfect sacrifice of himself, once for all. It's the ultimate reality, not just the shadow.
Okay, so if Christ is the one eternal high priest, that raises a pretty big question. How does his authority actually function on earth today? How does it get transmitted through all these generations? Well, that brings us to the structure of the church itself.
The answer is this core concept called apostolic succession. Just think of it like an unbroken, tangible chain of authority and grace. Christ gave his authority to teach, to shepherd, to administer the sacraments to his apostles. They, in turn, laid hands on their successors, ordaining them. And that chain has continued person to person for 2,000 years right up to today.
And this authority is organized into three distinct holy orders. You've got the bishop, who acts as the overseer and a successor to the apostles, then the priest, who serves as the pastor for a local community, and the deacon, whose name actually means servant, who assists both of them in worship and in works of charity.
Okay, so with that whole historical blueprint and the structural framework in mind, we can finally return to St. John Chrysostom and really truly understand the source of his terror.
You see, Chrysostom understood that a priest's job wasn't about managing budgets or fixing buildings. He saw it for what it was, frontline spiritual warfare. He knew he wasn't fighting against simple human problems, but against cosmic forces for the eternal destiny of the souls in this care.
And he explains this terrifying responsibility with this incredible analogy. A shepherd of sheep deals with visible problems, wounds, hunger. You can force a sheep to take its medicine. Your enemy is the wolf. The penalty for losing one is financial. But a shepherd of souls, the sickness is hidden. Healing requires the person's free will. You can only persuade, never force. Your enemy is a legion of spiritual powers, and the penalty for losing even one soul is eternal.
He also saw the priesthood as a place of immense personal danger. He called it a terrible rock of vainglory, where the temptations of pride, like wrath, envy, and the love of praise, are constantly waiting to devour the priest's own soul from within.
And on top of all that, there's the external pressure. A priest, Chrysostom says, lives under an impossible microscope. He's judged not as a man of flesh and blood, but as an angel. Every minor personal failing is magnified and can become a stumbling block for others, causing a crisis of faith in the very people he's trying to save.
So after all this, the spiritual warfare, the temptations, the impossible expectations, what's the key takeaway about the Orthodox priesthood? What's the bottom line?
It's this. The priesthood is not understood as a career or a profession or just a job. It's a divine ministry. As Chrysostom puts it, the office itself is discharged here on earth, but its rank, Its reality is heavenly. It's an angelic ministry performed by breakable, fallible human beings.
And this leaves us with a final, profound thought. It's not about finding perfect, angelic people for the job. Maybe the entire point is seen in the tension between the divine sanctity of the office and the profound frailty of the person holding it. And maybe it's in that very gap that the need for grace, for faith, and for divine help becomes most undeniably clear.